One of the hardest times in your life is when circumstances change and the walls around you metaphorically crumble and you have no idea what your next move is going to be. And it's very daunting because you may have had some sort of plan of where you thought your life was going, and then it feels like that's been ripped away from you. And this is something that I'm going through currently, and it's also something that I need to remind myself and anyone else going through it that it's a very good thing. It's the time where you'll be able to take the most lessons and evolve, and even though what's been ripped away from you in the short term, which you thought was what you needed to be focused on and was your map and guideline to the right way of life and the right thing to do, it's not as important as the bigger picture map, which you haven't necessarily identified yet, which is probably just a mixture of all of these little maps that you have. And even if the little maps feel good in the short term, they don't necessarily mean for a fact that they're any more important than each other in achieving that bigger map and finding that bigger treasure, rather than that little pocket of structure you've created for yourself in your life and for what you feel like you need to do. So I just wanted to talk about an important reminder of when everything gets ripped from around you and you really don't know what you're going to do, and you're questioning everything, you're thinking everything you're doing, is it the right thing? Should I do this? Should I do that? It doesn't really matter, because even though in the short term there's certain things you want to achieve and certain things you want to do, and you may want to keep afloat and be able to afford your life, which is why, this is not an easy thing. Some people aren't in the position or situation to be thinking like this, but regardless of what you do in the short term, the most important thing is way further in the long term, and everything is going to work itself out. You don't even know if this little mission you were on that got ripped away from you was the right thing for the bigger picture of your life. Don't feel lost. Don't feel like you don't know what's the right option. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to get everything right in this new phase of life that you're moving into, on this new mission or map that you've been handed or you're scrambling for because the last map didn't work out. It's not so much about doing all the right and perfect things because you don't even know what that is in your life. For example, just a random example I thought of, like you might be driving your car and you might knock into someone on a bike and break their leg, and you feel awful. You have to pay for their treatment, and it seems like a horrible thing, right? On paper, it is a horrible thing. You apologize, you pay the money, you've ruined that person's life or whatever. If you didn't hit that bike, you didn't realize that person was driving very dangerously on their bike. They were not following the road signs. And 100 meters up the road, they get hit by another car because you didn't hit them. They get hit by another car. This time they don't go hospital, they go to the cemetery. Something that seemed like such a bad thing for you or for that person's life may not be. So if you don't know what's around the corner on the road, and the person on their bike doesn't know what's around the corner, so how do you know what's around the corner for your life? Now, I'm not suggesting to be stupid and just do nothing and just wait until your calling comes to you. I'm just trying to say, take every phase of life, every map you're handed, take it to the max, do your best, and most importantly, stay present with it, and don't tell yourself too many things about it was wrong, it was the wrong thing, it was right, it was the perfect thing, and now it's gone. Just think about the bigger picture and going through life exploring what it is to you and what it means to you to be that best version of yourself, and to find that ultimate treasure and that ultimate bigger picture map. Always think about the bigger picture, even if it's difficult in the short term, because there's rent to pay, there's things to be achieved, there's certain goals and timelines you've set for yourself. Don't worry if things get ripped away. Long term, you're going to be absolutely fine, and all of this is for good reason. We're all getting older, we're all evolving, and we're taking all these lessons seriously, and we're taking them with us into that final version of ourselves, which is never really final, it's just ever evolving, but into that future version of ourselves where things will be an accumulation of everything you've learned, everything you've done, all of the experiences you've gained, and none of it will be a waste. So that's a message to you, it's a message to myself, that's a message to anyone who feels like the way they were going about their life has just crumbled. The walls have just crumbled around them all of a sudden, and they're having to adapt and move into a new path, and they're not sure. Don't worry about being so sure about everything. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Much love. Ciao.